Call to order the Ironton City Council meeting of April 27th, 2023. With us for invocation tonight, we have Pastor Matt O'Brien with Calvary Baptist Church. If you would stand for our invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance immediately following.
Dear Father, thanks for this opportunity to come before the council and open in prayer. We thank for a council that still seeks your face. Lord, we governments that turn away from that. We thank you that our city still opens their services and their meetings in time of prayer. We pray your blessings upon this meeting. May everything be done in order and decency. May we seek your face. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Brian. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Cleary.
Here.
Haney.
Here.
Harvey.
Here.
Hawk.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
Pierce.
Here. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes from the regular council meeting of April 13th, 2023, the Finance Committee meeting of April 13th, 2023, and the special meeting of April 17th, 2023. Do we have any additions or omissions to those minutes? Saying none, those minutes will stand as approved. Next on the agenda, we have audience participation. We don't have any special guests. If you would like to address council, please step to the podium, state your name, address, and you will have 5 minutes to address council.
Joanne Taylor Sutter, 723 South 8th Street, Ironton, Ohio. And the situation is that we have neighbors, they appear to be squatters, and they are collecting, in the past they've been collecting animals. I've been a nuisance in the neighborhood, dumping garbage, things like that. We've had to call the police several different times. But on today, there's no water inside their household. They had 8 dogs that come to my attention, several cats. I just left them over at the property. They have cats again. But what has happened was I called the police because they told me on the last incident, if we called the police twice, then they would come up and get 2 tickets, and then they would call animal control, and then it was supposed to be taken care of. And then called the police today. It doesn't turn out that way. Called animal control. They said we were supposed to call the police, and went round and round and round. Nonetheless, Mr. Perry was in the neighborhood, and I had opportunity to speak with him about it. Then we were told that we couldn't go in the house, even though the person that's managing the property, he had the key. So we ended up went inside the property. The dogs were bought out by the person that had the key. The man was bitten. Animal control did get as many dogs and cats as could. All the dogs are out. There's still a few cats. I don't know if they went and got more cats, but I did see these people out in the middle of the night with flashlights hunting feral cats to bring in the house. I don't know what that's about. But since those people have been in the property, the lady that actually owns the house in the nursing home right now, she says she doesn't want the people there, but she's really not as clear of mind. I want to say that. But I do want to thank Mr. Perry and those who participated in getting the dogs out, because I was afraid the dogs were starving to death. So anyway, just wanted to address the council about that, and thank you all so much for your participation.
Thank you. One thing is, I would like to, because this is not the first situation to where it has been animal control, IPD, animal control. So what was the process that you went through? Because I would like to know that from my own personal knowledge of the steps to to the protocol for us to do something about this, because there's about 2 or 3 different times that I've went through this, and I didn't get a straight answer. You know, did you call animal, you called the IPD first, correct?
No, we called the police first. The man,
Okay.
you know, absolutely cannot remember his last name or anything. His first name is, and now, because I've known him for a year, and it won't come to me right now. I'm just a little anxious. But what we had done, because the dogs were coming and defecating on my property, and I'm trying to borrow a garden, I had called the police before.
Okay.
When, but that, you know, the first of it wasn't calling about the dogs. The first we were calling because they were gathering up stuff out of the house and dumping it in my neighbor's yard.
Okay.
And Mrs. Fletcher's 88 years old. She was out there trying to collect the garbage up and put it in garbage bags, which I did take them garbage bags. And they used some, and then the rest of the stuff was just out there. And then they procured, that's a good word, grocery carts. I don't know how many of them they've had, but I've seen 5 or 6 different of those, and they are taking them and dumping them. And I said, you know, you can't do that. Mrs. Fletcher's son and daughter happened to be out there and caught them because I called them, and I also called the police. And then they met up with him, and the guy has a grocery cart full of more things, and he looked straight at everybody and said, "I'm not doing that." I went,
Right.
okay. So with that being said, today's incident, but what I was, since I was already talking to the police, I started explaining what was going on in
Right.
general since these people moved in the house. The granddaughter moved in the house while Connie, who owns the house, Connie Colvin, while she was still at the house.
Okay.
And
So what I'm saying is, like, when you went about animal control,
Right.
did you call animal control first?
no, we called the police
So
first
police
to
first?
find out. I was told to call the police
Okay.
first. So-
By animal control,
No,
correct?
I was told by the last officer that came.
Okay. Call the police.
He said, call the police, and then he told us, me and the man that has the key to the house,
Right.
that we had to call animal control.
Okay.
So then I looked up the number and I called. We were told they couldn't do anything because the dogs weren't out of the house. And I was trying to explain to them, dogs have been barking for several days, and there's no food over there because sometimes they can get out the doggy door and
Okay.
and they're coming, you know,
Right.
around eating wherever they can.
Okay.
So then that's when, so the officer was still there, and then when Mr. Perry came, because he was out in the neighborhood, and I explained to him what was going on, then he called, he called you? I don't know who he called. He called animal.
Chris may be able to finish this
Yeah.
up here.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You're all right.
When I got there, Officer Monahan was already on the scene, and so I called Commissioner Finley.
Yes.
To call animal control.
Okay.
They happened to be close enough by that Denise Paulus and Adam were close enough that they could get there. The property manager, or whoever the guy is that's not maintaining the facility, the home, showed up. They were very, very careful, animal control was, about not stepping on property in the property. The manager brought the animals out. Dogs made a mad scramble, of course. Unfortunately, he was bitten, trying to corral these dogs. But my understanding is there are a group of 3 or 4 more squatters in that home. This is directly adjacent to the vacant property that we've been dealing with on and off.
Right.
It's there next to the 93 Park. So the house is from the outside. I didn't go inside outside, the house is in horrible disarray, the backyard's in horrible disarray, there's a shed that's got stuff spilling out of it, and it is directly behind Joe Fletcher Jr.'s mother's home. So it's,
Well, I guess what my question is who is in charge of taking care of this?
Animal control took it.
So
They-
basically, we need to tell people to call the county commissioners if they want anything done, correct?
They collected the animals, took the animals, and my understanding is they came back to get the cats. I guess Adam is on our payroll for cat collection.
Okay.
So-
With the feral cat ordinance,
and so
correct?
he was doing that, I think, when I was
Okay.
on my way here.
All right. Okay.
The people that are, they came back to the house and there's more cats because cats were jumping in and out over, because there's storm doors, the glass is missing in the bottom and they had the door open and the cats were jumping in and out of the house. So there's
Okay.
still even.
There's gotta be some
cats.
code enforcement issues. going
Well,
on
that's
there.
what I'm like.
I mean, it's 100%.
And nuisance property. We have so many things to deal with that.
Right. Can we send somebody, like, would that be code enforcement? Can we send, Joe Ross up there to that address and take care of this?
I reached out. I reached out to Joe and Sam, they were in a meeting.
Okay,
That's what I
okay.
called animal control.
All right.
Meeting, whenever he called it, actually, and then it was all back up that round. I was also,
What's the address?
Address, good deal.
Gee, if you're at the 9th Street Park, if you're on the 8th Street side, there's a vacant lot, there's a powder blue home, that's the one, and then there's Miss Taylor's home, so.
All right, good deal, thank you, guys. Any other audience participation? Mayor, you have any updates?
just brief, been working on this paving project, since it started, you guys are aware,
Who's that?
Mike's marching.
Is that Tennessee?
No, I'm just kidding.
That's Rocky Top Road.
I know what it is. But we've had some good news come up while we've been working on this. If you've probably seen, if you're paying attention to where we're at every day, there's been some new spots pop up that are getting done, particularly between the floodgates and the Elm Street, 2nd Street portion. We came in under budget on the project, so we've been pulling from the Phase 2 project that we were finalizing and adding to it. And then we also got some extra paving along with that, about 10 blocks worth. So been able to pull some off of there, and then also Kiowa came through and added 6 additional blocks of paving to our grant-funded project. So a total of 16. So it's nonstop, taking from one project, adding to the other, and seeing where we land. But we're getting more and more as we go. It's never done, I guess.
Well, I've got a question for you. Because more and more people ask me about it. I try to explain to them the reason for the phases is the funding, correct?
Yeah, we
Where the
have
funding comes
6,
from, correct?
I think 5 or 6. There's the Phase 1, Phase 2, Kiowa grant funded project, the Green Valley Storm project, which is paving also.
I've been saying
3rd
4.
Street, and then we finished one, which was the Pine Street, which
Right.
that came under budget too. Like, people say, why did you pave Campbell Avenue? Well, technically, it was economic development grant for the, across the railroad, came in under budget, so we were able to still serve the same area that was covered for that grant. So that one's done with 5 remaining. Phase 1 gets completed, we'll have 4 remaining.
So what phase are we currently in? Is that what my
Phase
question
1.
is? We're still in phase 1?
Yeah.
Okay, good
Yeah,
deal.
Phase 2 has to be put out to bid and everything,
Okay,
So-
all right.
And that's the last of the city-funded projects. The rest, we have some match to make on it, but that'll clear up all that money that we got from this bond refinancing and all those things.
That's the big question I have is, well, how much more? I try to.
What people are like, have been like, hey, this is a lot of paving. It's like, it's not even like 25% of what's
Right.
gonna happen.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy to imagine what it's gonna look like and stuff.
Mayor, initially, there was like 100 blocks that was gonna get paved.
I would think we get close to.
Where are you at now with
It's
that?
hard to, because it's all square feet, really, is
Yeah.
how this is pricing wise. But trying to break it down, you know, a standard block is 300 by 300, which I don't know how many of those we actually have. Like, 'cause if you're looking at Railroad, that's a lot wider of a street than, you know, the Vernon. So, I mean, just guesstimating, closer to, you know, probably 200, I would think.
What?
Probably less than 200, but I can't tell you how far less.
Right, but we're all.
And I always be conservative whenever I say it too. I'm not gonna say, yeah, give or take. I'm just- You know, last update we gave when we rolled out phase one, I was thinking somewhere around 175 or so.
Well, initially, I think when that 100 block figure was mentioned, that was rather eye-popping. And now if we're exceeding that, that's just extraordinary.
Yeah, that was, you know, and I held out so long because I was like, what are we gonna need if we can have a grant opportunity where we match? You know, because originally we were on the hook for about 1.1 or 2 million on Third Street paving. That was gonna eat up almost everything. That's, you know, way more than what this phase even cost. You know, holding out the 2 years that we've had it, we've been able to quadruple the, you know, because originally it's probably 50 blocks, so taking that money and matching it allows us to get a lot more out of it.
Very good.
Yeah, Nate?
Just right there, Mayor.
It don't be about paving.
We appropriated money for street signs
Yes.
and entrance signs, and I didn't know if you had any updates on that.
Met with the street sign gentleman and waiting on a quote. There's so many different options. I'm trying to meet those budgets that we were putting out there for those. We had purchased 30 brand new signs anyway, just because we needed them. But once we saw how great they looked and they were able to put that on sort of front end here, there's a reflective city emblem on it and everything. And then you can get as decorative with the post if you want to. So it's kind of trying to get an itemized a la carte list to fit our budgets. That's all we've done.
And, or whenever you get that spectrum for those and those posts, whatever, post upgrades, Brandon will be able to demonstrate that on
Yeah.
the council meeting.
Yeah.
And then
Because I
also-
might ask for more money.
And, and entrance signs.
Yeah, I'll get so right now we're working with Allard or ODOT. Well, they've been asking, what do you color pavement do you want? And I said, what do you need? So I'm working on that.
Color what?
Pavement. So we've got to sort of solve that first, and I think you match it with whatever color concrete that would be. I don't know how crazy it'll get, but they just sent it to us.
Would you be able to show?
I've heard orange.
Would you be able to show us some examples of things like that in the council also?
Yeah, and it's just all gonna be contingent on, you know, timing. I'm waiting on at least the street sign people to give me input.
They wouldn't happen to do entrance signs also, would they? Like,
They do a lot of
Structures.
transportation stuff, so it's possible.
Maybe
I
they'll
know
give
that
us a better deal
when
on
we
both of
discussed
them.
this, we were looking at kind of like more like monumental. type.
Right, well, but I mean, if they're a sign company, maybe they do something like that and we can lump it all in and maybe get a better deal.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, and then I would like to reach out to our local people, to see.
And then, I just know, like with this roundabout project, I know we're putting money in for the stormwater and to run electric. think there's a little bit of money left in the state highway, which is what we funded that out of, which is, again, restricted to the area. I just want, it's the doorstep to our community. I just want it to be a good impression. So while South Point's roundabout's nice, it's kind of, it's empty. I don't know if there's landscaping or.
Yeah, we
signs,
discussed the landscaping
whatever.
and stuff with them in the preliminary.
Just like if you keep us keep us posted what you're doing, if there possibly would be some more money out of that with the state highway fund dollars, but I'd like, kind of keep that discussion going.
So we wanted two, right? One there and.
Bridge there and 141, well, 141, wherever's not getting total, so like,
I definitely don't need more money.
Well, we talked about doing it in phases.
yeah, we're gonna do it in phases.
Okay.
One on
We were talking about having like a consistent theme for all.
Yeah.
All entrances.
And
to
I
the
would
city.
think throwing in some wayfinding to at least like downtown Gateway, Riverfront, those kind of things would be helpful too. I mean, just for a visitor to know where things are. I saw the one thing I noticed in the roundabout up at South Point yesterday, the river meeting. They've got the way you would go in the roundabout to a specific part of that area, so there's industrial park, proper South Point, solid or state patrol post, whatever.
So, yeah, I just appreciate if you kind of keep us up to date on all the sign stuff, and then, what we're thinking on the roundabouts, the entrance, and.
Up to date, because I just can't, that's what I got right now.
Would they need our landscaping plans prior to completion, or do we
That's
put
already
that
was
in?
implemented in the design.
Okay.
Well, but that wasn't for the sign.
That's what I'm saying, so they don't, it doesn't
No,
matter.
I would think we would want to make the sign match kind of with whatever we do,
Right.
It's best.
Yeah, we're kind of going with the theme on each entrance, so.
Is there a artist rendering of those roundabouts that maybe you could get for us?
I think it's on the ODOT's website. You go to the project there.
My thoughts on this is that sometime in the future, that's one of the main entrances to our city on 93. We might do something more than just a sign there. I think we could do a statue, we could do whatever, but we could see what it looks like to kind of begin thinking about that.
I think that's what our goal is, to put something timeless and something that's going to be there. Like whatever we put there, we're not going to spend money and tear it up. It's going to be,
Right.
classy, it's going to be
Exactly.
nice, it's going to be something that's going to be there for a long time. So it does need a lot of discussion, and I don't want it to look cheap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll have
I think they-
electricity there.
Right.
And so there's a lot of avenues we can explore to make it
Right.
really something special.
Anybody else?
That's all I have.
Mary? Michael?
One last thing, Mayor, I saw that they've started on the riverfront project, they've done some paving, got some temporary fencing up. Is that still on schedule to be?
They're sending it to me today, the final plans on the containers. The schedule on the contract is to be by August 2nd. So kind of holding the feet to the fire, because they haven't had any updates yet. That's what we've done over there. so
Okay.
far. So that was part of the paving too, run that in to expand down there. And the fencing to keep people from
There you go.
burnouts or whatever they do on the riverfront. you know.
Might keep cats out too.
Good. Anything else, Mayor?
Yeah, so-
That was it.
Sorry, one more thing. Cleanup plans for May, we have anything?
Yeah, 9th through the 13th, Wool Hands, the 12th will be downtown, which is on Friday. We have the St. Joe students coming, they do it every year, volunteer, and do the cleanup. Did change the mulch color to black mulch this year. So that's red, that's about it.
So 9th to the 13th is the large
That's for your typical quarterly cleanup. I figured why not do it before Memorial Day and then the 12th, which is happens to fall in the same week, will be our downtown.
Okay, thank you.
That's good. Thank you, Mayor. Moving on to communications, there are none. Reports, there are none. Moving on to ordinances. Marta, would you please give first reading to ordinance 2334?
Establishing fees for oversized loads in the city and declaring an emergency. First reading.
A little bit of discussion on this. You know, we had some discussions with Mike Pemberton about oversized loads coming through the city, and we weren't capturing money because that's wear and tear on your city streets, wear and tear on utilities possibly underground. Also, it takes our city employees, he mentioned hours, didn't he, Nate?
We had to
Mayor?
do one recently, just the other day, I was thinking of something to you.
Yes.
We have to lift up all the lights, the street lights, the traffic lights, to let those come through, even so it ties up a lot of our employees' time.
Yes.
Waiting on them to get here when they're going to get here, moving throughout.
Town. Mike?
So, these fees are based on weight, and are they also involved in our employees helping, like with cones and that sort of
Okay,
thing?
so the way those fees are structured, and it's currently, and John, you had asked me the same thing. Currently, there's legislation in our codified ordinances currently. Right now, 50% goes to street, 25 to water, 25 to sewer. So whatever out of these funds is collected is 50% is going to go to street, 25 and 25. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And John, you had asked that question, that's how it's structured currently. So when I spoke with the solicitors, there was no need to, reinvent the wheel, basically, just add this into that legislation.
So if none of our employees are needed, I'm thinking like a concrete truck comes in. It's loaded with 10 yards of concrete. It's in these weight categories, but yet none of our employees are needed to put cones out or special situations.
I would say do
Yeah,
they have?
anytime the state patrol, they always do the escorts, they're gonna call us for the help.
Okay.
On a heavy load.
So it's going to be predetermined by,
Yeah, and it's a permit fee, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like you apply for a permit to ahead of time.
You've got a one-time move or an annual, as long as you're within this way.
Right.
So then, all these instances, they have to contact Mayor Mike. State Patrol has to sign off on before we even get contacted, correct?
Yeah, they're the ones that usually reach out, because they're like, we're gonna be bringing this load through, we're gonna need the street department to, handle the traffic lights, that's really about all we do. But you've got bucket truck and street laborers, and you're moving from one traffic signal to, even if they're not working traffic signals, they're still hanging there, so we've got to,
right.
usher them down.
I just didn't want to impede on, workers, the concrete, the people hauling wood,
Right.
whatever, because that's, you get 40 of those a day going through our town, so.
This just, Mike had asked us, and I agree, these ordinances haven't been really looked at for many years. Craig?
So if besides the big deal being wear and tear on our streets and possibly utilities, if it's the street workers' time based on the height of the oversized load, there's nothing in here that addresses that. And if it weighs 80,000 pounds, they're getting $500, but if they're $500 annually, but if it's too tall to come underneath our streetlights, and every time they come through, we're having to do it, and it's 80,000 pounds, they're getting a bargain basement price. I don't know. Somebody mentioned height, so why
That's
would
the one I
height
know
be-
that ties up the most time, is Brent Baker still getting that wear and tear on the streets. And I don't know how much or how often the wood or concrete trucks fall into those categories.
But-
That would be where it's beneficial to have an annual. I mean, you've got people doing that every day. per
But
se.
can you maybe follow up with Mike and just say, like, I mean, do these categories help him when it comes to the height? I mean, is the height always
Yeah, he's more so
associated with the
was
lake?
just talking about they needed to have this permit structure for when they come through, because right now it's just been like nothing.
I don't care, the bad thing about it is, and I just wanted to get this out there because Mike asked for it, and we've had some of these loads coming through very recently. So I wanted to get this out there for discussion. So this is a healthy discussion on this.
Could we possibly look into section 4, amending that
I
to
will.
whatever Mike says is the height that
Height, yeah.
that they have to go out and raise the traffic lights?
Right.
Maybe section 4, amend that to that height.
I will do that, but the bad thing about it is Mike is extremely busy with the streets right now. And I mean, Mayor, can you get a time, and I don't care to meet with him or whatever and kind of pick his brain on this. I mean, it doesn't need to be necessarily a long meeting, but,
Just to address whenever the police time.
well, just whatever height restrictions or whatever we need to
Yeah.
place in this.
At what height of the oversized load did they have to go out?
Yeah, well, most of your oversight, if they're taller than 13, 2
Anything
or
higher
whatever.
than a typical semi is almost.
Mayor, I
If
think,
they're taller than 13.2, I believe it is, that they have to, there's a certain way that they have to move that material. So they have to have, if you ever notice, on an oversized, they have a truck that drives out in front of them that has a height restriction hole on it. So if there's anything in its way, it's just basically making sure if there's clearance in anything they do. When they come through town, a lot of our streetlights are lower than some of those limits. They're above probably what the standard is, but they're not as high as what, say, like, state of Ohio makes, or some of those stuff like that.
On the highways.
But I think that there's a good possibility that you could just basically add to that permit process that says you pay extra additional $50 if you're over 13.6 or what.
Okay.
I mean, I would ask Mike that question, but I think it's a possibility it could be added to that. And maybe Mike says it doesn't mean, maybe that the permit and the weight limit is going to cover it all. I don't know. It'd be a great question for Mike.
How's oversized load currently defined in section 440? It may define what an oversized load is. A concrete truck may not be considered an oversized load.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because like what he was just pointing out, that vehicle that's in front that's kind of clearance, that also is, the load may not hit that vehicle.
Current
has to
section
get
says
through.
it defines it, and this new ordinance is saying as defined by that, and then with these additional weight limits, so I don't know what the original definition is. It may define oversized load as certain height, certain widths, you see what I mean? I think we need to take a look at that and see, it may already be answered.
I agree, Mike.
so Craig, to your point a few moments ago, were you suggesting that if an oversized load comes through and we have to do height adjustment, that it would be triggered in section 4? And your question would be to Mike, would that 1,500 cover that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I agree with everything said. And like I said, I just wanted to get it out there to have a healthy discussion about it. And, this was a healthy, excuse me, healthy discussion. I'll take care of that. I'll get with the mayor and Mike and add any pertinent information we need to add to that. So it's a good first reading.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Thank you. Good. All right, moving on to resolutions. Marta, would you please give reading to resolution 2335?
To approve then and now certificates in excess of $3,000 for payment to Sitco Water.
Bob?
Make a motion that we pass resolution number 2335.
Mike?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Bob and a second by Mike to pass, discussion, sorry.
Just want to mention that it was given favorable recommendation by finance.
Gotcha.
Approved.
Motion by Bob, second by Mike to pass resolution 2335. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein. Perry. Pierce.
Aye.
Resolution 2335 is passed. Moving on to miscellaneous. Nate?
Make a motion to receive, file, and part of the minutes, the March 2023 actions.
Chris? We have a motion by Nate and a second by Chris to accept the financials from March. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk. Klein.
Aye.
Perry.
Aye.
Pierce.
Aye.
Okay, also, we missed and Craig, we're getting together a letter, a certified letter, of that, but next. Do I need another motion? No. Okay. All right, I do also want to add to the meeting minutes that, we did not have ordinance. What was that one?
20,
Regarding train speed on the agenda tonight.
23, 24.
2324, that will be given second reading at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Good on that? Bob?
For what it's worth, the train speed limit, you know, that's my territory.
Yeah.
And I got beside a train where you cross over that Jefferson crossing. And he was flying, so I caught up with him, 47 mile an hour.
Yeah.
This was like lunchtime, just going up through town. So
They fly.
most times they're down to 35 or 40, but this guy was late for something.
Yeah.
I mean, he,
Late to the station, right?
yes,
I agree.
we do need to get that thing passed.
I agree. Appreciate that.
Do we have fines imposed on the speed limits of it?
$1,500, right?
What it was in it.
$1,500.
All right.
And we did discuss the automatic
Yeah,
monitoring system on that also, so
that'd be good.
I agree. You know, I've got one more if we don't have anything else. Ohio Ethics Commission for elected officials, don't forget that, that is coming up fast. One other thing, Craig, are you gonna be here next meeting?
As far as I know, yeah, as far as I know.
Okay, I just want to give everybody a heads up. The first May meeting, May 11th, I will not be here. I've got to attend a banquet, Eddie Test banquet for my son,
It's him.
and it's at 6 o'clock.
It's him.
It is, okay, Jacob. Jacob will, I'm going to ask you to chair that meeting. Alright. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up there. I may be able to come in late, but I doubt those things last at least an hour, hour and a half. So I definitely won't be here for the start of it, and so Jacob will be chair of that meeting. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Bob and a second by Mike to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Cleary.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Harvey.
No.
Hawk. Klein. Perry. Pierce.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you guys for attending.